In the early 2000s, the U.S. military funded a remote farm in Quebec to do something seemingly fictional. They paid researchers to breed a herd of 150 genetically modified goats. When the female goats lactated, their milk contained spider silk proteins. The military needed a replacement for Kevlar. A standard Kevlar vest weighs 5 to 8 pounds, restricts combat movement, and traps heat. It stops bullets by being stiff, but that rigidity transmits blunt trauma directly into a soldier's body. This chart shows the toughness, or impact energy absorption, of different materials. Spider dragline silk can absorb roughly 3 times more impact energy than Kevlar before breaking. It is lighter, completely flexible, and naturally maintains its properties in extreme temperatures. But you cannot mass farm spiders. Unlike silkworms, which sit peacefully in trays of thousands, spiders are highly territorial and fiercely cannibalistic. If you put 2 spiders in a box, the stronger one will eat the weaker one. To manufacture the strongest biological fiber on Earth, human engineers had to find a way to separate the silk from the spider. In 1990, molecular biologist Randy Lewis isolated and cloned the exact genetic blueprint for dragline spider silk. A few years later, a biotech startup named Nexia bought the patent and developed an audacious hypothesis. Biologically speaking, a goat's mammary gland and a spider's silk gland are remarkably similar. Both organs exist to pump out massive quantities of a highly specific protein. Researchers took the spider genes and attached them to a mammary-specific promoter. A promoter is a genetic switch that tells a cell when and where to produce a protein. This ensured the silk protein would only be produced inside the milk during lactation, leaving the rest of the goat completely normal and healthy. In 2000, Nexia announced the birth of the first 2 spider goats, Webster and Peter. The genetic science worked exactly as theorized. The female offspring from this line produced milk containing up to 20 grams of silk protein per liter. Nexia quickly raised $40 million in the largest Canadian biotech IPO to date. They secured a direct partnership with the U.S. Army and DARPA. DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, the U.S. military's central research and development organization responsible for emerging technology. The military intended to extract the protein, branded as BioSteel, and weave it into next-generation defense equipment. The target applications included soft undercover body armor, parachutes with higher load capacities, and blast-resistant uniforms to protect against shrapnel. By 2002, the project peaked. Nexia and the U.S. published peer-reviewed science, confirming they had spun man-made fibers with mechanical properties rapidly approaching those of natural spider webs. BioSteel proved that living mammals could be engineered into biological factories for high-value military materials. The protein expression worked flawlessly, but the project had a fatal flaw. Producing the silk protein in the milk was easy. Physically spinning that liquid protein into a usable continuous thread proved nearly impossible. Spider spinneret is a complex nanoprocessing system. It uses acidification and tension to transform liquid protein into solid fiber. Human manufacturing couldn't match it. Artificial nozzles constantly clogged. Solvents caused premature clumping, resulting in brittle fibers that snapped. Without long, consistent threads, Nexia couldn't scale fiber production to secure the massive military body armor contracts they needed. The company formally filed for bankruptcy in 2009. The failure wasn't rooted in genetics, or the milk, or the goats. It was rooted in the assumption that human mechanical engineering could easily replicate 380 million years of evolutionary nanotechnology. The world's most advanced transgenic animals were quietly retired. 2 of the goats were sent to live out their days at a public farming museum in Canada. A lone BioSteel jawbone is preserved in a post-natural history exhibit in Pittsburgh. But the underlying science survives. The original patents fragmented and expired, allowing a new generation of university researchers and synthetic biology startups to inherit the genetic data without the corporate overhead. The modern industry pivoted to microbial fermentation. This is a process where genetically engineered microorganisms like yeast and bacteria are used to brew specific proteins. Companies today use massive steel bioreactors to produce silk proteins at a scale that a herd of goats never could. Recombinant spider silk currently makes up a $160 million market. It exists in limited edition athletic shoes, advanced medical sutures, and high-end consumer goods. The spider goat was a brutal, necessary first draft. It successfully proved artificial biomanufacturing was possible, laying the foundation for the entire modern industry. There is one final twist to the DARPA experiment. The original researchers eventually abandoned spider genetics altogether in favor of one of the ocean's most primitive creatures. They discovered that deep-sea hagfish naturally produces staggering quantities of defensive slime. This slime contains proteins mechanically identical to spider silk, and it requires zero genetic modification to harvest. When threatened in the wild, a single deep-sea hagfish can fill an entire bucket with these high-tensile biomaterials in a matter of seconds. The BioSteel goats prove that the future of advanced materials relies on hijacking nature's blueprints. We just had to endure decades of mechanical failure to find the right biological factory.